Many Indians visiting Japan, especially when standing in temples, notice that although the language is not understood, the chants, the mantras, the ritual recitations sound strangely familiar, almost reminiscent of mantras heard in Indian temples. What explains this perceived similarity in sound and ritual atmosphere? And what does it reveal about historical or cultural connections across Asia? That's the question. So, you see, if you watch YouTube videos of Japanese temple ceremonies and rituals, often you'll find that the Japanese priests are reciting mantras that you don't really understand, but they sound very much like Sanskrit mantras and sutras and whatnot. And the fire ceremonies look very much like Indian yagnas. Why is that the case? I mean, you'll see many of these YouTube videos all over the place, Goma fire rituals and whatnot. One second. Oopsie daisy. So you have all these. Um, One second. Okay, let's find this video and put it on the screen. For example, here's an example of a YouTube video such as that. So this is Shingon Buddhist Goma fire ritual, Mount Koya, Japan. I will not play the video because there may be copyright issues or whatever, but you can pause the video, look up the title of the video, and if you're interested, go and take a look at the video. And you will see many such examples on YouTube. So this is a Goma fire ritual. They say it is Buddhist, but the ritual is clearly not what you would consider Buddhist. It's more of a Vedic ritual. It's more of a yagna. And sometimes you have Japanese channels that show this live. The recitation of mantras and sutras and the performance of these yagna-like rituals, fire, involving fire, offering of various things to the fire and so on. So why do we have this incredible similarity? What is the root of this, right? You see, the fact is that India has influenced Japan for about roughly 2000 years. Our Emperor Kanishka sent hundreds of religious missions to the east, mainly to China, as part of trade delegations. And this brought Indian culture into China. And the Chinese then transmitted that into Japan. Buddhist rituals, Vedic rituals, and so much more. One of these things is called Dhyan, which the Japanese call Zen, right? Zen Buddhism, they call it. But it's not a Buddhist thing, it's an Indian thing. So a lot of the Japanese temple rituals, Shinto rituals, even Buddhist rituals, they grew out of Sanskrit chanting. Okay, it traveled from India across China into Japan. It brought Indian mantras, Indian sounds, Indian ritual forms into the practices in Japan. So we have shared roots. Okay, and today you will find that the words that are uttered may have their origin in Sanskrit, but they may be Japanese today. But the rhythm is the same as what you have chanted in temples today. Even the phonetics, the ucharan, the pronunciations are similar to Sanskrit pronunciation. So many of these mantras were originally composed in Sanskrit, and they were simply transliterated into first Chinese and then Japanese language. Okay, they were not translated; they were transliterated. So the phonetic skeleton, the sound skeleton, the pronunciation, it still survives in the original forms in these chants in the temples. And many of these, like I showed you, this Shingon Goma fire ritual. You see, it's a Shingon school of Japanese Buddhism, Shinto, whatever, probably Buddhism, right? They still write their mantras in the Siddham script. What is the Siddham script like? Let's take a look. Siddham script Japan. Let's Google that. Okay, see, Siddham script. So it's still used in Japanese temples. The Siddham script. Take a look at this. So you can see it has similarities with our Devanagari script, and it is used in Japanese temples, inscriptions, etc. Even today. This is the Siddham script. It's also used in Korea, apparently. As you can see, this is a very interesting, creative use of the Siddham script. So that's the script that's used in many of these temples, many of these rituals. Okay, um, and the Japanese katakana, the Japanese alphabet, it's a syllabary. Okay, it's called It's called katakana, whatever it is. These also originally represented the syllables in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, in the Siddham script, or scripts that encoded or embodied Sanskrit. So that's why the sound system once again aligns with Sanskrit style patterns. So because of these matches and these reasons, Japanese priests could and still can chant Sanskrit sutras and mantras very fluidly using their script, the katakana script, and the sound quality is very true to the original. So sometimes it is Sanskrit, sometimes it is Japanese, but it sounds very much like the mantras that are heard in Indian temples. So there's a very clear connection between India and Japan, Indian culture and Japanese culture, Indian traditions and rituals and Japanese traditions and rituals. Essentially, Japanese culture is built, it is founded on a bedrock. The foundation is of Indian culture. The bedrock is of Indian culture. And on top of that, Japanese traditions have been built up, and to such an extent that today you can barely see the Indian elements underneath. But one of the ways to see that is, go to these temples, Shinto temples, Buddhist temples, especially Buddhist temples, where you will treat the temple as a Buddhist temple, but many of the traditions and prayers are not exactly Buddhist traditions and prayers. They are what you would call Hindu traditions and prayers. Many of the gods and goddesses that are worshipped in Japan, for example, Benzaiten, are Hindu gods and goddesses. Benzaiten, who is Benzaiten? It's a Japanese goddess, a kami. But what is the original form of Benzaiten? It is Saraswati. Benzaiten, there we have it. Benzaiten is the Japanese version of Saraswati, very clearly. Okay, then you have Kangiten. Who is Kangiten? Kangiten is Vinayaka. All right, Kangiten is Lord Ganesh. And so you have all the Indian gods and goddesses that are present in Japan, and these are not Buddhist gods and goddesses; these are Hindu gods and goddesses that are regarded as Japanese gods and goddesses, or maybe Buddhist gods and goddesses, kami. So there's this deep connection that India has with Japan. The people of Japan may not be completely aware of that today. And when Indians visit Japan, you will find these striking parallels, and you'll be like, "What am I hearing? What am I seeing here? Why is it so? Why does it sound so similar, so familiar?" And this is the reason why.